So let's begin this session with our keynote speaker. I'd like to give a warm welcome to Madam Norliza Hashim. And she will be presenting on the Malaysia SDG cities and its collaborative pathway. So a short bio about her. So professional town planner, technologist Norliza Hashim is the Chief Executive Officer of Urbanice Malaysia, a Center of Excellence for Urban Wellbeing and Sustainability. Norliza is a registered town planner and is the principal and founder of her consulting firm AJM Planning and Urban Design Group. She led a team to organize the 9th session of the World Urban Forum for UN Habitat and the Malaysian government formulate the low carbon cities assessment framework for the Ministry of Energy, Green Technology and Water, and formulated the Malaysia SDG cities roadmap. She is now the director for the Malaysian Institute of Planners Low Carbon Cities and Sustainability Center, a fellow with the Institute MASA, and is a member of the Leadership Council for Sustainable Development Solutions Network, Malaysia, where her passion lies in promoting the sustainable agenda to providing innovative solutions that contribute towards a better quality of life and Malaysia's built environment. All right, so before I hand it over to Norliza, if I could just ask everyone to actually open up their cameras, and we'll take a quick screenshot of everyone here today as well. So let me just get my screen ready. All right, so everyone's here, and all right. Nisha, if you want to open up your camera as well, we're just about to take a photo of Zoom. All right, 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you, everyone. And so I'll let you take over. Whoops, she's just gone out screen for a moment. Not a problem.
No, someone opened my door, so I just had to close it.
Not a problem. All right, I'll let you take the stage. Thank you so much.
Yeah, can I get to share the screen? Okay, I got it ready. Right,
yeah.
Thank you.
All good. Yep. Perfect.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Especially good morning to all the ladies. It's morning here for me in Bangkok, but it's probably evening in some parts of the world. So yeah, good afternoon, good morning. Again, I'm Norliza, so very happy to be part of this program that has been arranged. And I think I was reading what the program is all about. I think this is a fantastic event that you have put up together. So just share with you a little bit of what we are doing here, especially when, talking about the SDGs. And I'm sure that, everyone today globally in every part of the world is working towards how we can achieve the sustainable development goals. So ever since it has been started, I think, and actually I'm in Bangkok now to actually discuss on how far behind have we digressed because of COVID-19 and how far actually, can we really meet the deadline? And it was quite alarming in all the reports that have been shown so far. We are not going to make it by 2030 to achieve these goals. In fact, if we are to meet all the 169 targets, it is expected that we will probably achieve this in 2050, So I think this is something which is probably we didn't expect that, but this is something that we need to address and how moving forward do we accelerate this whole process of sustainability. And I think it's also because that, in the past, when we start to talk about all the crises, for example, one of it, which is climate change, we never believed that it will really happen. We talk about the ice melting and things like that, but it's really happening. Temperatures are rising, sea levels are rising. And in Malaysia, we have floods, tremendous amount of floods, which in total have displaced about 70,000 people and almost, 600 over million of damages that have been spent just last year alone. So we are not only having climate change, we have all kinds of conflict, COVID being one of them that have digressed us a lot in every way, and war in some countries and political conflicts that have probably affected everyone in this part of the world. So we look at the SDGs probably as an opportunity to actually, how do we make use of the sustainable development goals and into improving our future cities? And this is where in the workspace that I work, and I believe many others are working, we look at the needs of the society and how the SDGs can actually help to, future-proof, also address all the gaps that's currently being faced by cities today. But because cities are where more than half of the world population is living, and in Malaysia, we have about 25 million or 77% of Malaysians living in cities. So I believe in Asia Pacific as well, we're talking about almost 25 billion people living in cities. And this is where we should not just look at the challenges as something that is setting us back, but we are also acknowledging the fact that this is an opportunity for change. And cities is not just a space where we are dealing with the crisis, but it's an opportunity for us to be more creative, more innovative, more collaborative in how we move forward. And this is where sustainability, resiliency is very core in moving forward and looking for that opportunity to change. Now, there probably before this, there are probably many more sustainability frameworks that has been done. But the 17 goals, in a way, for me, I've been involved in this space for almost 20 over years. I find that the SDGs is something very, very comprehensive because it's not just talking about the goals individually. In fact, it's so interlinked, it's quite dynamic, and the whole, how it is being structured, it is meant to have that multi-outcome driven kind of approach. So the targets are also very universal. You can localize it, and there's no a real template to say that this is just one way to do it. In fact, there are multiple ways of doing it. And as we learn from a lot of countries, a lot of cities, a lot of organization, a lot of government, they are having their own model as to how sustainability can be achieved and how the goals are being adopted locally. So this is why when we talk about the SDGs, everyone needs to be involved in the whole process. Leadership is very important. Governments at all levels, national, state, as well as local government, private sectors, including professionals. I'm also a town planner, and of course, civil society. That means all of us, So this whole of nation, whole of society approach is very important if we want to achieve sustainability in a more integrated and holistic manner. And because urbanization is so intense today in all over the world, and in every city, this is where I think what needs to happen is that to bring the equation of people you're not just looking at social economics or just environment, but how people are actually as part of that solutions in environment, in economy, of course, and even in social elements. So that's why in Malaysia, we've actually developed this Malaysia SDG cities. Mainly our focus is in the cities because of the number of people that's living, and we find that because it was previously led by national government, there's a lot of gaps that needs to be fixed. So that's why the SDG cities is to encourage how city way of how we look at, we can accelerate some of these SDG goals that are in place. And very critical to cities is actually SDG 11, because SDG 11 is very, very dynamic. And there are 60 relevant targets from all other SDGs that are interrelated with SDG 11. So this is why it's very important that minimum we should be looking at SDG 11, because it's not just about safety, inclusive, but it's also how to be more resilient in the whole process of moving forward against all the crises that we have. So we see that the importance of equality, the importance of health, the importance of economy and everything else that's very much linked to SDG 11. And the way we are approaching it as in SDGs today is to ensure that cities are very, very equitable, so that cities can actually meet demands, whatever they are, new and different needs, because we have a saying in Malaysia that, the groups might be the same, but their needs are different, So even within one society, you have different needs. And this is why it has become very, very complex to actually deal with sustainability at the local level. And also we need to understand that, when we're dealing with city, you're dealing with people, everyone has that right to the city. And this is why we have to understand it's a universal agenda. It is an inclusive agenda, and it cannot be something that we can do at writing strategies needs to be inclusive. Designing buildings needs to be inclusive. Infrastructure development needs to be inclusive. And that's, I just came out from the room that is heavily debating on people-centric approaches in development, in processes. That's very, very crucial for all of us. So because of that, I think, this is something that the UN Habitat have always emphasized on, the city we need, who is it? Who does that represent? And that's actually, it not only needs to be more democratic in terms of how we do it, but it's also about how we are more cohesive in our approach, because we all know the values that we want. We want cities to be safe, to be livable, to be, very inclusive in how we live, or healthy in that sense. But it's all about making sure that everyone's needs and everyone's rights is part of that process. So that's why we always have to bring in the social and cultural dimension into any work that we do today, because I think that will differentiate the solutions that we are foregoing. As a professional, for example, I, as a town planner, we design cities, but what differentiates townships is actually the social and cultural capital. The needs are different. Their social, their cultural needs and beliefs actually also, in a way, does influence on how living environment is being designed. Public spaces are being designed, because we don't use public spaces in the same way. Western people, Asian people, Muslim community, for example, are very different. So understanding the social and cultural capital is very important. And we need to get our scale very correct. And I call this the people dimension cities, because sometimes when we are drawing like a helicopter, everything at a tabletop, But you need to design like you're walking on a street, because the people scale makes a lot of difference, because that's, our eyes, we are not able to see twin towers or skyscrapers. It's beyond our eyesight, What we see is what we see up to the most 3-level story building from the ground. And this is why it's very important that whatever is at the people scale, we address them, we make it not only nice or beautiful, but also very, very convenient, very comfortable, and very pleasant. And that's why cities which are very people scale are very pleasant to walk, very pleasant to live in, very pleasant to be a visitor also. And I enjoy some of the cities which are very people scale. And this goes all the way to even walkways, sideways, because if we understand the city whose right it is to use these spaces, then we shouldn't be designing every road the same. For example, we are so fixated with the regulations that we have, the street width that we are asked to design with, but we forgot that we are designing an old community. We are designing a community which have young children in the streets, So we do really need to understand that when we talk about right of way, whose right is it actually that we are talking about? And this is why the dimensions of social sustainability is much larger, and in context. It talks about, listening to people, the voice itself, besides what I've mentioned about social, cultural, and amenities, the voice and influence is very important. So, it's not just about performance, but it's also about perception. So you might design the best city, but the perception is not good. That means we have not addressed the voice of the people and the influence that people has into what we are doing. So that is why stakeholders management is very crucial in the work that we do, as professionals. We need to engage more. We need to understand that who are the stakeholders. Every project has different stakeholders, because they have different needs, and that's where your outcome will be different. And that's where your city will be different, your township will be different, because the locals knows best what they want. And of late, we have been infusing this a lot in the work that we do here in Malaysia, which is trying to get all our city council to have budgets which are more gender responsive. So we know that everyone have budgets in local government, but budget system are normally very structured, very rigid. It's according to system which they have inherited for ages. But understanding that your profile or population is different, you have aging society, you have vulnerable community, therefore your budget should be allocated correctly. So if you discuss this with the community properly, and then you listen to them well, therefore you can plan and respond also well, and your budget get allocated in the correct space, then only you can get the perception correct, the influence correct, and then of course, you will get a very good development in place, and this is why over time we are also now trying in the workspace that I do. I work a lot in trying to empower community now, because once you've developed and they are already now back into that space, we want them to continue the quality that you have designed for them. And this is where empowering them, making them co-own, co-manage the community is very, very important, so that, local councils have big partnerships. And that's what I meant by collaborative. In your journey towards sustainability, nobody should be walking alone, should be doing it alone. It's all about collaboration. And we are also trying to move now that, why don't you allow communities to lead the planning, to lead action plans, because we do have communities which are very well structured, very well educated. And this is why maybe the role of government in the future is more facilitating, but the role of the community is to actually plan and design what they want. And this collaboration between people, government, professionals are so important, for us to get to the best outcome that we can. So we have also developed this collaborative community resilient platform. The idea is actually for us to encourage people to just share with us what they have done, because I truly believe in the power of people, and I'm sure a lot of people have done many good things, but we do not know. We are not aware. So if we can understand what everyone is doing, we put our forces together, and I think sustainability pathway will be very, very achievable much faster. So this is where we looked at, community-led development, that could be a game changer, but we definitely need to rethink about how our cities and urban policies are, having more people-centered approaches, having a new urban paradigm in terms of how we develop and grow our cities. So I think to sum up my talk, or rather my short presentation, I just want to say that, on one hand, yes, we know the goals, the 17 goals, we know the timeline, but the journey towards achieving those timelines is the most important. And the only way to accelerate or achieve those targets is to work together, like in partnership, in collaboration, in multilateral way, and I think that's the only way that we can do it. So yeah, thank you, Emily, for this opportunity. And I really hope that, I have contributed something to the group. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Norliza. I think that was wonderful. There's just so many things that was happening in Malaysia because I spent a few of my younger years actually growing up in Malaysia. So I'm just surprised that like, oh my God, there's so many things happening and it's really, influencing other countries as well. And I think, we can really just because it's such an international symposium, we can
Yeah.
all learn from what you and your team have been doing as well. Yeah, that was excellent.
I
All
just want to
right.
add, if you might allow me for 1 second, it's just
Yeah.
that we have a very strong women stakeholders also, because every year we have women Malaysia Urban Forum, and women stakeholders is our biggest stakeholder. We've got like 16, 17 groups just joining us. So we are very focused on 4 things. One is gender, woman-friendly city, for example, more voice for women in decision making. And then we were also talking about governance structure, so I believe that, REN could be, could be part of what we are also trying to achieve, So we welcome you. We are having our next session in Kuching sometime in September. So I will reach out to all of you through the organizers, of course, and, maybe we can get voices from this group to also share what you are doing, with our women here in Malaysia.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
such an excellent opportunity. And thanks for letting us know as well. I think we're very excited to be part of anything that really helps to, improve gender equity around the world and all the other SDGs as well. I think we can all agree from all of us here today. And I think that also kind of answers Marcelo's question a little bit. What do you think, Marcelo? Do you have anything else to add as well about diversity?
Yes, so I mentioned diverse, but in a broader sense, not only gender diversity, but also like in your projects, when you've got a new project, how it's like when you're going to the survey you're going to implement, do you aim to get a different groups, or how because I understood the importance of diversity in building projects. I just wanted to see how you go about doing that, ensuring diversity.
Yeah, I think definitely every project, because the societies are very diverse, especially in Malaysia, we are very diverse. And that's where I think that diversity needs to be reflected. People need to see it for themselves, rather than one solution fits all kind of a statement. I think they need to understand that, hey, we're building you a park here, but this park is very different from the park in your neighborhood, in the next neighborhood, because your park here has facilities for aging society, for example, because more than maybe 20% or 30% there are aging people. So they need to understand, and this is where we are also saying that we shouldn't just allow, when we build things, we should just, and then we hand them their keys, and then that's it in the case of housing. Now, even at my ministry, the minister is saying that we have to have community education and inform them about, these spaces that we're building for you. It's actually meant for you to use, and exactly how we've decided on the trees, for example, because sometimes, we talk about trees which are shady and someone just prune the trees, cut off the whole crown of the tree, without understanding that, it's very important for us to keep the crown. And even if you want to maintain the trees, don't chop off the whole crown, So we have a lot of operational issues here in Malaysia, where operations doesn't understand the design intent, and or even community doesn't understand the design intent for open drains, for example, or earth drains, for example, because we're trying to move earth drains which are more easy to to be more pervious. But people start throwing rubbish in the drain, then there goes your objective of having more pervious surfaces. So I believe that education is also important, and community has to be continued to be educated, even though we are already in the 21st century, because our solutions are different time to time, but we have digital technology and we should be using that. So we always say that communication plan is very important. Cities should have, even if it's a simple communication plan, they need to have that kind of regular kind of engagement with the people. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful as well. It's not like a one size fits all kind of solution, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so just on to the next question because I'm aware of time. Grace, did you want me to read out your question, or would you like to answer? It's quite a lengthy one. If you want to read it as well in the chat box. Okay, cool. So Society 5.0, I think that was in your presentation, looks to balance progress in development, but not at the expense of societal needs. This resonates a lot with the view of people-centric cities. How should we ensure that we are managing the fine balancing between development, society, and sustainability for people and the planet?
Well, actually, to tell you honestly, even though I'm like shouting about it, it's actually very, very difficult. Sometimes your success rate is 10%, sometimes 50%, sometimes is, higher or lower. But I always believe that, you have to try it out. But I do see that as society progress, maybe 15 years ago when I started to engage local government, it was even tougher. But now as more and more leaders are speaking about it, because we have so many programs, even train the leaders, train the mayors, I think the more people are aware, at least more people are saying it, then your results get better. So that balancing between development, society, and sustainability, I think we just need to put everyone into the same equation, in the sense that how do we, if we were to be role playing, decision makers, they have their limitations. So we have to go around it, and this is where I learn most, is that I need to understand why they cannot make some decisions to give that balance that we want, and sometimes it's a regulation. So then I have to go and say, how do I fix this regulation? Sometimes it's because they are being influenced by certain groups, then I need to engage that certain group then. So there is no like one solution that really can get to 100% balancing. But as we say, any success is better than nothing. And I believe that now we are much better off than we were 10 years ago. We are all more concerned. We are having this discussion. It's a big, again, that's a big move, and more professionals are talking about it. And all of you are very young online, so I'm very happy, because, that will mean the future will be in good hands, because you are listening it at your younger age, so I believe that this is a process.
Oh, we have one more question. Do you think we will actually achieve some of these targets by 2030? It's a good follow-up.
Some of the targets are quite simple, they are already being done. So it's about, but I think we will not achieve all of it by 2030. We definitely cannot. Some of them are really high, especially the environmental targets are very high. So I think this is, globally everyone is saying no. So and here in Bangkok, this is the exact question. Most countries have actually digressed rather than go forward. So, but we are still hopeful that we can do this. So talking about extension, well, that is something that's going to be talking about in July, where all the leaders will go to New York for a very big meeting, high-level political forum. And I think a lot of national leaders are also going to be asking whether there will be an extension. So I think it's not so much an extension. Well, what we are doing now is to review the targets, making it more, not to say that we are discounting things, but maybe how do we really measure those targets that were set earlier by the leaders then in 2015, can we have it, can we achieve the same goal in a different manner, for example? So I think that's what the discussion will be. We are actually at midpoint now, 2023. So actually this is a very important year. A lot of discussion is going to happen from this month until November. So 2024, we will, have to decide or go forward with whatever is decided in 2023.
Yeah, so just like thinking about all of this, it sounds like, progress towards these targets can be achieved from that ministerial and also political level, right? By all the countries meeting and discussing together. But like on a local level, how can we learn from each other as well? Like, how you did your approach with going up to local communities. In Australia, we're also quite a multicultural country as well. We've got, very dense cities, and then all the regional and rural country towns they're not receiving the same kind of benefit and access to, say, even healthcare as well. Like, what do you think on a local level? Can we at least make some progress and not be pushed back by some of these regulations?
Yeah, I that is why we are really talking about how do we inbuild all these SDGs into urban and territorial planning, for example. That means to say bringing SDGs into mainstream document, or your regulatory framework, you need to mainstream it, like how we are mainstreaming gender, for example, in all these approaches that we are doing. I think that's the only way to do it, rather than try to fight it all the time. How to inbuild this in the current procurement system, in the current development plan system, in the current political system, and I think if we can do that, probably it would is actually very important to sustain what we are doing today. We also don't want to see that after the goal everything collapse. It should be further to beyond 2030, should be something much better, because we've always said that we are doing this for the future generation. So if we're serious about the future generations' needs, that means we really need to mainstream the SDGs.
Yeah, exactly. No, great words as well. And I think it's really insightful what you've shared with us today, and even just learning on the higher levels, going to New York and you going to Bangkok, like what is actually happening and what kind of actions are being taken as well. So I'm just noticed the time. So apologies, Holly, you're next up. But thank you so much, Norliza, for your wonderful presentation and being so accommodating with us as well.
Thank you, and apologies for my time.
Not a problem.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, not a problem. We figured, you're a very important person. We don't want you to miss any meetings as well. All right, and you're welcome to stay. Yeah. All right.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome to stay, and otherwise, you're if you've got something else, enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you. Thank you, Emily. I gotta go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.